repeatedly threatened to prosecute. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Barack Obama, Liz Cheney, Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff, General Mark Milley, Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg, New York AG Letitia James, and that's just some of the people he has talked about. Do you support him using the Justice Department to go after the people who disagree?
He didn't do it his first term. What I support is stopping.
Right, but this is a second term.
What I support is stopping this lawfare, stopping this political targeting, political cases. We all know the Fonnie Willis case, the Alvin Bragg case, and the Jack Smith cases were all driven by politics. The American people understood it. That's why they had this overwhelming win. One of the reasons this overwhelming win for President Trump. So I'm against the retribution. I'm against the Justice Department saying if you're a mom and dad showing up at a school board meeting, we're going to investigate you. I'm against the FBI putting together a memorandum at the Richmond field office which said if you're a pro-life Catholic, you're an extremist.
So I just
we want all that to stop.
I just want to put a button on this. So what you are saying is that all of the times that President Trump said so many things about people that he promised that he would go after them and prosecute them, you were going to encourage him not to do that?
Well, all I know is what he didn't do. That.
I know, but we're talking about
lock her up. You know, he talked about his opponent in 2016, Secretary Clinton, talked about lock her up. He didn't do that. He didn't go. But the Democrats went after him.
I know, but I'm talking about Donald Trump's second term.
I mean,
going forward. Since then, he has said many times.
I don't think any of that's going to happen because we're the party who's against political prosecution. We're the party who's against going after your opponents using lawfare. In fact, I think this is one of the issues that the
So it was just a campaign rhetoric? It wasn't real?
Well, I think he's pointing out what's going on. The retribution, actually, Liz Cheney on January 6th went after President Trump, said things that weren't accurate, I think, in their report. The other individuals he's talked about have been part of this retribution going after President Trump. Never forget, it started clear back before he was in office. They spied on his campaign in 2016.
But I am not talking about...
For 8 years, they've been going after President Trump.
He won.
He sure did. He won big.
He won big. So my question, and what people want to know, is what he is going to do looking
I think
forward.
He's going to do.
Just for example, 2 days ago, he called for investigations into anyone spreading rumors.
I think he's going to secure the border. I think he's going to get rid of this crazy inflation that's hurting middle class and working class families, hurting our economy. I think he's going to get back to common sense energy policy. I think he's going to focus on protecting the First Amendment. I mean, think about this. Did you ever think you would see Donald Trump, Elon Musk, RFK Jr., and Tulsi Gabbard on the same team? They were on the same team because of the attack on free speech, the attack on the First Amendment. He's going to focus on those things that the American people elected him to do.
Yeah, man, I think Jim Jordan, I believe his name was, I think he did a great job at shutting down the narrative she was trying to push. She was trying to push, Trump's going to go after his political opponents, he's going to use his power, Yeah, whatever. They already did that to him. Everyone has saw that. Anyone who pays attention to politics and really does a deep dive on what's going on can see that. And as he stated, the American people noticed that, and that's why he won the way he won. And that's why the titles that he's received from the political persecution, like he's a felon and all these other things, it's not letting on the American people because they know it's all a farce.
Yeah.
And
to be honest with you, I feel like he need to get on their butt.
I think so. I mean, the fact that he said an investigation though, is that really something crazy? Like he could have said,
that's not that
I'm gonna
crazy.
put y'all ass in jail.
Yeah,
he gonna have people investigate your dealings.
About that. I was like, okay, if you get investigated, what's so? You know, people get investigated for things they didn't do all the time.
Eric Adams getting investigated.
You know, he might have did something.
Well, to be honest with you, I feel like all of them should be investigated because whatever expired,
y'all tried to investigate. Y'all investigated and tried and did all this to him.
Bro, I feel like whatever expired was
now
the cause of him getting shot, and I think that's what he's trying to figure out because he feel like it got to the other point that the other side tried to get him killed. Yeah, man. That's how I feel personally.
I think the way they hooting and hollering and playing so lost here is just, it's confusing me because like, how are you lost? How are you not figuring this out?
This is the threat to democracy they was talking about. Threat to them.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
it was a threat to the people that was being corrupt in the system.
And this is as I said before, the media, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, are all extensions of the Democrat Party, as we've seen through this entire election cycle. So the fact that she's still doing her job to try to have some people have some civil unrest about Trump presidency and what he'll do, I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, lady, he lost. Give it a rest. Give up these narratives. Give it a rest. Let the man get in office before you even start this bullshit.
Campaigning.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's 70 days
Why are
until
y'all
he'll be
still
the president,
campaigning?
and she's still on here saying this bullshit. Well, what did he mean by that? Well, why don't we just let the things play out and see? Let's finish the last days of the Joe Biden presidency that y'all defended and said was so great, and let's get to the point of Trump and see what happens with Trump. Because they doing all this yapping, man. I'm getting sick and tired of this
But
shit.
you got to also remember the media companies are getting attacked too. So that's why she probably feel like she's worried too. Everybody forgot.
Rightfully so, though. Rightfully so, though. Look at the
First Amendment stuff.
Look at the nonsense that they're peddling. Like, This is why the media is losing their grip on the American people. Because of people like her and the narratives that she's paid to push.
Who's targeted first?
Well, he's already said that. People have migrants here who committed crimes, criminal.
How are you going to find them?
The ones who committed crimes, you go after them. We've had.
But I mean,
Miss
like who actually?
Whose daughter was killed. We've had Rachel Morin's family who came in and talked.
How are they going to be found? Or is it going to be the military? Is it going to be local law enforcement?
1.3 million migrants have already had their asylum case adjudicated, been in front of a judge, and the judge says, you do not qualify under the law. We're the party of the rule of law. Those 1.3 million, they don't qualify under the law.
My question is how you get them.
They're supposed to be removed. They have a removal order. You start there. You start with the criminals. You start with the people who've already
I want to understand. So people say, like, let's say one of these people is living in their apartment complex. Is the military going to come in? Is it the local law enforcement? How is it actually physically going to work?
The Trump administration, the Department of Homeland Security will work with local law enforcement, and we'll focus on the people who 1.3 million already been in front of a judge and said, no, you're not entitled to stay here. You have to be removed. There's an order there, a court of law. They've had their due process. They've had the whole process played out.
So let's move on beyond that population, non-criminals, people who are in the country who are not legal citizens, those who have not committed crimes.
We're starting with the criminal element.
I know, but after that.
1.3. Well, we'll start there and then go from that point. But again, this was clear in the election. This was one of the top issues. President Trump had the greatest political comeback in history. Won 30 states, won all 7 swing states, won the popular vote, won an electoral college landslide. This was one of the big issues. He's told the American people he's going to do it.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm asking how it's going to work.
This is how I believe it'll start. And remember, they told him in his first term, he couldn't do certain things. He got them done. I'm convinced he'll get it done, but I also am convinced he's going to start with the criminal element and the 1.3 million who've already been in front of a judge, and the judge says you have to be removed.
Ultimately, will it be 15 to 20 million as he promised on the campaign trail?
Well, we will see. What I know is if you send that message, I think that is so good for securing our border, which the country wants. Just the opposite of what the Biden administration did. Biden and Harris administration came in on day one and said, no more building the wall, no more remain in Mexico, and when you get here, you will not be detained, you will be released, and 10 million came in. So the country rightly said, let's put a stop to that, and the place to begin is with the criminal element and the 1.3 million who've already been adjudicated.
So the last question I want to ask about this are
Okay, you know how everybody was making police finna start frisking all black people and stuff?
I think that's
kind of just what he just said, pretty much debunked that. They first going after all the people that got processed that had
prior charges.
So, like, if you got an ID, my brother, you don't have to worry about anything.
I think the police immunity thing is completely overblown. I think it's way overblown. I think the way they say it's going to target black people is ridiculous fear mongering. I mean, I've been pulled over by the police. As long as you're respectful with them, they're not going to give you a hard time. I mean, the police are not like this villain that's just walking around. I feel safer when I see the police places. I don't fear the police. I don't live in fear of the police. I know most black people don't. If you do, you're fooling yourself. You're scared of the boogeyman. So that's ridiculous.
There's a lot of black cops too now.
No, facts.
I got homies that's keep
black
it
cops. I mean, what? But let's keep it 100.
I still be a little bit afraid of the police a little bit.
I'm not at all.
I think it's like a respectful amount of fear. Like, yeah, it's the police. You should be a little bit afraid of them and respect them. But I'm not just gonna like be shaking and trembling. But it's just like
that.
Okay, I understand. I need to act good.
It's gonna get negative.
Sure.
That's not my. When I interact with the police, I don't think, this is about to be negative. That's not something that crosses my brain at all.
I'm like, this is good. Yeah, I would just tell them, hey, I was speeding my bad. Sorry. Yeah, let me get my ticket.
You know what I'm saying? Like even still, like when I go places and see the police, I'm not like, oh my God, the police are here. Like, no, I ain't doing shit.
If the police
why would I live in fear?
I'm happy with the police, but if I'm getting pulled over, I might be a little fearful.
I won't be fearful.
I'm not in the wrong. I might still be a little. I can still be a little bit fearful.
I won't be.
Well, just because you getting in trouble, it's like you getting pulled over, you get called to the principal's office. You know, even if you don't know why,
I'm confused. I'm just saying, hey, y'all got me this time.
I'm gonna keep it ahead.
But I'm not afraid of police officers.
I don't live in fear of the
We need
police.
police officers, obviously. That's what
but
I understand.
But like they said, the way they're trying to make this question, like the undocumented immigrants, is like such a crazy thing. I mean, obviously said they're going to start with the bad apples and then address the rest, where it starts. She said, how are we going to track them down? I mean, the fact that they're in the country and they're not able to be located is a bigger issue than the fact that they're trying to track down criminals in our country. The fact she said, well, how are you going to find them? Well, the fact that they're here and we can't find them should be concerning. That should be concerning. Oh, damn. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you did it again, brother.
I did it again.
Yeah, hey.
Doggone it.
Doggone, it slipped, y'all.
Just
Sorry.
might as well, you know
Stupid
what?
questions irritate me. I'm sorry.
I also am convinced he's going to start with the criminal element and the 1.3 million
And then
who've already been in front of a judge, and the judge says you have to be removed.
Ultimately, will it be 15 to 20 million as he promised on the campaign trail?
We will see. What I know is if you
you're
send
not
a message,
committing to it.
if you send that message, I think that is so good for securing our border, which the country wants. Just the opposite of what the Biden administration did. Biden and Harris administration came in on day one and said, no more building the wall, no more remain in Mexico, and when you get here, you will not be detained, you will be released, and 10 million came in. So the country rightly said, oh, let's put a stop to that, and the place to begin is with the criminal element and the 1.3 million
immigrants.
My boy.
First of all, do you really think that we're going to see him round up and deport upwards of 11, sometimes he's put the number as high as 20 million people out of the United States? Is that really going to happen?
Donald Trump's campaign promise was the largest mass deportation in American history. Okay. And he's going to keep that promise. And I'll tell you, let's just start very pragmatically here. I think most Americans agree with this. You take the number of people who have entered the country just in the last 18 to 24 months. That's millions of undocumented immigrants, illegal migrants, who have really no place in this country. Anybody who's committed a crime. Automatically, that already is the largest mass deportation in American history. Now take that to the next level. Wow. Not an iota, not a cent of government spending should go to subsidize this, not to sanctuary cities, not to federal aid to people who are in this country illegally. And we're going to see a large number, by the millions, of self-deportations as well. And so these are pragmatic places to start that would give us, yes, the largest mass deportation in American history.
But fall far short of 11 million or more.
We're going to go step by step aggressively. Donald Trump's going to stay true to his campaign pledge, but in a way that respects the dignity of the Americans who are already here. Okay, and I do think it's offensive to use, when we have $34 trillion of national debt, government funds to subsidize this type of illegal migration. That's half the problem. And if any illegal migrant is no longer a customer of the welfare state, you're going to see self-deportations combined with deportations of those who enter.
Let me ask you.
I can see if you cut off the support, they're going to have to go back. They have to go, or
Yeah, so
they're
be a
going
lot of self deportation.
You gotta
It's either that or they're going to be dumb enough to commit crime. So it's like I see two problems that might happen.
What's crazy is the fact that there's so many here. If they just took the ones that have committed crimes, is that what he said?
Yeah, he said it's gonna be the largest deportation because it's millions of them. He says 1.3 million of them already.
But yeah, that is kind of. The only problem I might see is that you cut off all this and crime might go up because of that.
Crime is definitely gonna spike.
Because of that makes it more easier to riding his ass up.
Crime is definitely going to spike, but then it's going to be a problem that like the police immunity will come into effect because then the police will be able to do their jobs and not live in fear of the backlash because then they'll be able to put their cases on the committee, will review it. They were protecting us, holding up the law. It was in the best interest of the American people. Woo-de-woo. So, I mean, I think a lot of the Trump plans are going to go hand in hand.
To be honest with you, we're kind of seeing it right now. They literally in New York. Eric Adams, he said we're cutting this funding out to all these illegals right now.
Yeah, they already cut off the food card and stuff already.
A lot of things have happened already.
They were saying Eric Adams is only getting prosecuted because he started to speak out against the immigrants.
Oh, Letitia James and them finna get it.
Okay, let's talk about the election because in the run-up to the election, even on election night itself, Donald Trump baselessly accused Democrats of cheating. As soon as the results started to come in and showed them going his way, he stopped. Silence. Nothing about that. I haven't seen you or your colleagues claiming any election irregularities, no rampant voting fraud this time. It seems to me that Republicans claim voting fraud and election integrity when you lose and not when you win.
No, I mean, again, as I said before, this election I think was the greatest political comeback we've ever seen. I mean, he did something that even Teddy Roosevelt couldn't do, for goodness sake. And the country.
But you think it was a free and fair election?
No. This election, you just interviewed the Latino, I think, restaurant owner or a restaurant worker, and he said he was tired of all the woke stuff. This election was real simple. You had back-to-back administrations. We got something we very seldom get in American history, American politics. Back-to-back administrations now running for the top job, and people could do a direct comparison. And they said, we like what we had under President Trump versus...
But last time around,
we like the safe streets versus the record
last time around, your leader claimed that there were problems with
secure
fraud.
border versus the open border.
Right, those are policies.
That's what this election was about.
That's totally fair. But last time around, it wasn't so much about the policy differences or the personality differences. There were false claims about election fraud when Donald Trump lost. This time, Donald Trump won, and you think the election was free and fair. Do you see there's a little bit of a...
No, I think the Democrats got to ask, why did we go from getting 81 million to getting 70 million? What happened to those 10 million people? Maybe they needed... Maybe it's not smart to run an election where you have no vision, no record to run on.
Do you believe that the 2024
names?
Do you believe that the 2024 election was free and fair?
I do.
And why was it different from 2020 when he lost? Is that the only difference?
No, there were concerns about 2020 with all the mail-in voting that happened. You know, when Pennsylvania had like 2-point-something million mail-in ballots come in without any signature verification, which was required under Pennsylvania statute. So there were all kinds of concerns with how the 2020 election was carried out. But
there was absolutely
the biggest question Democrats need to be asking, what happened to the 10 million voters that Joe Biden got that didn't come out for Kamala Harris? A bunch of them, President Trump's numbers were right up where they were in 2020, but the Democrats were much lower. I think it's because they had no vision, no record to run on, and they just wanted to call everyone names. Turns out when you tell people, oh, you're fascist, racist, deplorable, garbage, they don't like that. And then when you use lawfare to go after their candidate, they don't like that either. Well, that's why they came out so... On top of the economy, on top of the price of gas, on top of the inflation, that's why they voted for President Trump.
We're out of time. I just want to say for the record that there was no evidence of widespread fraud in 2020. It went through many, many different court cases. And I do think the name calling,
that's what I was concerned about.
The name calling was very strong on the Republican side of the aisle from the former president, and you know that. So. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you going through all of this.
Take y'all L. No. Take the L you were handed. Take the L you were handed.
It's just ironic. He absolutely cooked her like very badly. I think the way he stood on business and stuck to his guns, on his points, was great. I think the point that he made about the name calling, nothing to run on, all that, that's the same stuff I've been saying, Jim. So to hear you say it on CNN,
refreshing.
Thank you. Very refreshing. Makes me realize that we aren't crazy for coming to these conclusions, and they see it too. And I really just like the way that he didn't back down. Like every time she tried to get one of them media points that she does where they spin it and they can take your words and take it out of context and run on it, oh, he wasn't going for it. He came with the receipts, the facts, the cold hard cash, and she wasn't ready for it.